Morning, good afternoon, good evening. Like we say on this show, it all depends the time zone from where you are watching us from. Welcome to The Leader, courtesy of Catalid and the Evangelical Alliance of Kenya, EAK on Hope Media. I'm Edmund Mudibo. Today we have a lovely lady who's wearing those colors that are worn in the month of February.
This is pink, not red.
Pink, eh?
Yeah.
But we say men are colorblind.
Yeah.
So I will plead that Madam Nyansi Nyambura,
Yeah.
karibu sana.
Asante sana. Thank you for having me.
We have a show today and it's
Yeah.
all about first-time founders. It's the first time I'm meeting you. Let's start from there.
Yes.
Mwambie,
Yeah.
wewe ni nani?
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. Who am I? My name is Nancy Nyambura Wagemaina. So I have 4 names, and I work at Lugha Ishara. I lead the team, and I'm also a sister, a daughter, yet to be a wife.
Toko kwa soko.
Niko kwa tunaweza sema hivyo. Yeah, so I work with children with hearing loss. So we run a program, an early detection and intervention program, and also we provide language solutions for children with hearing loss. Yeah, so that's what I do every day. That's part of why God created me. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, offset before you came on, you were very passionate about Lugha Ishara and the whole subject of
Yeah,
children
yeah,
with hearing deprivation.
yeah,
Some even dared call it privilege, and I'm saying it should be a right.
yeah.
Why the passion in you? Let's just briefly engage
Uh,
there.
Yeah, so let me say that I know why God created me, and I know my purpose, and I'm living my purpose. And my purpose is a spark that ignites people for social justice. So that's the bedrock. Like, I don't have this amazing story how I got into the deaf world or into the deaf space or children with hearing loss. How I got into it is I found myself, or rather, I did a program in 2016. It was a social innovation program. And the reason I did it is because I was in the NGO world for a while, and I was wondering, I think that big question, why did you create me? Where am I in? I was in that place of, I really need to know whether I'm in God's perfect pleasing will in terms of the skills, my experiences, my giftings in terms of personality and all that, and also based on what people would tell me, and especially my parents or my dad. And so I was in that space. I think everybody gets there where you're like, what's this life about? What next? Is it just getting some money, paying bills, buying nice dresses? And, there must be something. There must be a deeper meaning. So when I did that course, they took us through, one of the modules was the inner journey. They asked us to go back from the time we were born until now. And the tool was helping us to decode our lives and look at themes and then join dots. So one of the themes that was very clear to me was social justice. Like, I would find myself, in Kiswahili we say unajituma. I would jituma myself to places where I see injustice. I'm there. It doesn't have to be children with hearing loss, but just different spaces. Like, no wonder some people, let me say this, my parents tell me, shh, it's time to keep quiet. And so I found freedom in knowing that that's what I was called for, and that's how God created and built me. So it's been pockets of working with, at first I used to work with young girls between ages of 15 to 25 in low resource areas like the slums. And then I moved along to now disability when I had an opportunity to work with children with hearing loss. So that's when I thought, what? This is even like, I think this is a worst injustice on earth. So so being plugged in terms of work, being exposed to children with hearing loss, that's when I read an article that was written by World Federation of the Deaf, and what I read is what would say, you hear like something just in your stomach, like, no way, like, I don't know how to describe it. Something deep down, I just felt it's so unfair, and I knew I needed to do something about it. So what I read was that children with hearing loss suffer from language deprivation. Language deprivation is where a child's brain is not stimulated for language. Stimulation is accessing a relevant, actually accessing an accessible language. So deaf children are born by hearing parents, 95% globally. So if you're a hearing person, you're the best candidate for God to give you a deaf child. So what that means, no one is prepared for a disability. I don't know, are you prepared for a disability? Do you have like a card you read and
Anything,
nothing?
no.
Yeah, so it's just, it's as horrifying and yeah, as it would be, and especially for a young mother, first-time mother, pregnancy itself is a journey. Then now, once you have a baby and then the baby is different, that's another layer of stress, what have you, yeah, related to childbirth and now related to a new condition of the child. So now, since hearing, people are the ones who God gifts children with hearing loss, they take almost 2 years to do something about it. So as they wait, the brain is not waiting. The brain neurons need to multiply through stimulation. There is no stimulation because the deaf child can't hear. So that part of the brain shrinks, and that process is irreversible. So that means a child with hearing loss will forever have a brain that shrunk in terms of the language component, and then they will not have full language fluency. So now that's what we call language deprivation. And so I thought it was so unfair to know that and not do something about it. So that's when I just said there must be a solution. So I just put on my social justice hat, dived into it. So that's how I got into the Lugeshara world, yeah. And it's going to be 7 years in July.
7 years
in July,
turning
this
into
July.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
And the state of deprivation or the prevalence, as it were, globally and Kenya, how do we rank? How do we fare? Even if
Yeah.
your guesstimate. On
Yeah, that's an interesting question because disability data is very unclear. It's unclear because people normally don't self-report, and then whatever could be documented is persons who have self-reported. And if you've self-reported, it means you've already had access to intervention or you have access to information. So whatever is reported is minimal. So the belief is what is unreported is what is huge, especially where medical services are inaccessible like our country. And you can imagine now in Africa. And but generally, the data from WHO says out of 1,000 children, you will find 3 children with hearing loss, with a degree of hearing loss, yeah. But I believe there are more cases, and they go unreported because of lack of accessible medical services, even lack of belief of the parent, because it's also another long journey, yeah. So, yeah, so data exists, but it's non-conclusive, yeah? So that's one of the gaps within the disability or the medical and education system. Yeah.
So the call to action there in terms of to get a closer picture as to what the status is, the actors then beyond just the periodics, the census that we have,
Yeah.
Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, the Bureau of Statistics,
Yeah.
all these should converge, come to play.
Yeah. And yeah, I think I think there's the different pockets of authorities that are in charge of data. Yeah, if they came together, that would be helpful. And I think also, if you have access, then you would have a diagnosis. So that's also the other challenge. So in as much as they would collect data, that they also have a mandate to ensure that healthcare is accessible. So if it's accessible, then many people would be screened. Then you would actually know if you have hearing loss or not. Yeah, or if you have whatever kind of disability. Yeah. So I think for me, screening at early stages is what is really critical. Yeah. So you see, once you have an intervention, then you minimize the effects of the disability. Yeah. So you have now access to a whole life or a better life compared to when you don't have an
right.
intervention. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we're all first-time founders.
Yes.
Hey,
Yeah.
Lucy, I'm a first-time founder.
Everyone is a founder.
So where does it begin? In the beginning?
I think so. God created, and God is a creator, and then God created us in His own image, and we are co-creators with God. And then some Bible verses say that before the world began or he created, he gave us good works to do. I think Psalms 139 says, I'm paraphrasing your story in a book, you know. So I don't think God's story is void of what we should be doing. I think it's complete. So whatever is complete. So God gave us all us a mandate to come and do something. So for me, that's why we are founders. Like everybody has been given a responsibility in terms of works, in terms of purpose. Everyone comes fully packaged to do what is it. Yeah. So that's why I believe everybody is a founder. Yeah. Yeah.
That's encouraging.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
when you look at the whole concept of first-time founders, their experiences, their motivation that would even lead an individual to where you're convicted that that is
Yeah.
your calling.
Yeah.
Some of us are just all over the place. Is
Yeah.
it because we've got too many options? Ama ni kuchanganyikiwa?
Yeah. I think it's a journey.
In your case,
Yeah. In my case.
asking for a friend.
Oh yeah. I think we all know we were created for a purpose. Everybody has that sense deep inside somewhere. I think now the question is, what is it? How will I know? And what will I do after I know? Or maybe there's some people who know, but they're not doing something about it. Either they're afraid, they're waiting for the right time, or the right people, right resources. Yeah. So I think it's with the help of the Holy Spirit. And God says, ask and you will be given, you know, seek and you will find. So maybe for those who don't know, who are wanahangaika, the truth is that it's already inbuilt. You now need to ask. And then when you're told, please obey, don't be like Jonah. Because that's what happened to me. I was journeyed into full-time, first-time found. That's why it's a special topic for me. I didn't really choose to be a founder. Maybe let's separate. Maybe we can say there's a calling and then there's the action. Like you know, but you're not doing something about it. And then you know, and then you're doing something about it. Yeah. So everybody inherently is a founder. And then now translating that knowledge into tangible action. Yeah. So I think I didn't really know that I was a founder, but my life journey had given some, you know, there were some dots showing you're wired like this. You can't keep quiet when you see these things. You get into trouble. My dad once was called when I think I was in class 6, told that I talk a lot in class. I make noise. I don't know what. But it's because if I saw something wrong, I would speak up. So then the solution was I would sit next to where the teacher was so that I helped the teacher manage the class. So, and I think what founders do is they see the fallenness of the world, then they look for a solution. They identify a problem, then they can't sleep until they do something about it. So for me, I saw when I first met deaf children, I met them in a different country. I'd never met deaf people in my country. So I was like, huh? Wait, in Kenya, I don't think they're deaf. That's how ignorant I was. And then when I came back, or rather when I was there, I had to learn the local language. They didn't speak English. I was in Asia, Indonesia, so I had to learn the Bahasa Indonesia, Bahasa Sign Language, and had an interpreter. So there were 3 layers of accessing the children. So I felt like I didn't fully give of myself because I didn't have direct language with them. So when I came back, I was just questioning and wondering, are there deaf people? What have you? And then I remember I met a cousin of mine, and he had already founded a company, an IT company, and I used to admire him, like, ish. Hizo ni zenyu, nyinyi ndio mmeitwa, you know. Yeah, so, and then we were just having a conversation, and then he told me, why don't you do something about it? I'm like, do something? Yeah, I'm like, find a solution for it. What solution? But deep down, I knew that was a call. So that's what I did. I just went out to find out whether there were deaf people. And I plugged myself into the space. And then I realized I couldn't communicate with deaf people because I didn't have Kenya Sign Language. So I learned Kenya Sign Language. Then as I was learning Kenya Sign Language, I realized there were other people who were interested. So I called other people into that space. And then as I did that, I brought it to work. So I challenged the work system. Just like you did today, I asked our team, do you know there are I think we should all learn sign language. So it was a work thing, sort of. And then increasingly, I mean, God is very interesting. Where I used to sit behind me, we had an open office system. A deaf person came. And he was my friend from campus. But when on campus, he was not deaf.
Oh.
Or so I thought.
Uh-huh.
But he was already deaf. But I didn't know, so I used to think I'd never seen a deaf person. But he became deaf as an adult. So you can acquire hearing loss later. But since he'd already acquired speech, he could speak and he could read lips. So he comes to our office, he's given a desk behind me. And I say, hi. Then he tells me, I'm deaf. Deaf? What do you mean? Then I was like, oh, God must be surely speaking to me. So I told him about what I've been doing. And then now he walked with me. And now he was working with deaf children. So he introduced me to his space. I got into it. And then that's when I just read, and like I told you, I was like, what? Very unfair, yeah. So I think if you keenly listen, or if you look at dots joining, God is directing you to founding something, or solving a problem. So I didn't take myself there, but out of other people speaking into my life and picking up the pieces, let me call it obedience, because I didn't have a full picture. And then later on, I left my job. And then when I left my job, another person was my mentor. I was a vice chancellor of our university. I went to see him, telling him, I'm transitioning, I don't know what I want. You know, when you're young and we need a voice of counsel. Then he told me, but Nancy, when I see you, you speak so passionately about deaf children. I think you should put everything together, because I'd done it now. That was 2015, 2 years. Said, I think you should register an organization. I said, organization? Why? I'm happy. I'm looking for another job. In fact, I saw this other job. Then he told me, come after 2 weeks, I give you 100,000, register an organization. Nikuone hapa. You must. I just said, okay. Yes, sir. That's what I did. Wow. So that's why I said God journeyed me. I didn't actively know exactly what I needed to do, but God used other people to speak to me, and I obeyed. And I would say, in summary, that's how it's been for the last 7 years.
So this was a mentor who you reached out to, who believed in you, who saw the passion, and guided, prompted, even facilitated.
Yeah, and gave a deadline.
And gave a deadline.
Yes. I remember 2 weeks come back, and I did. I came back with I registered a CBO. Then he gave me the money, and then that's how Lugeshara started.
You are not the typical Kenyan who would have gone party after party.
No. That wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be right. Yeah. I think he would see what I wouldn't see. Yeah. Wow. For me, it was a side gig.
Is he still in touch?
Yes, he's one of the advisory members.
Wow.
Yeah, of Lugeshara. Yeah, and he's a believer.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a believer. Yeah.
The highs and lows. Not everybody would necessarily have had opportunity such as what you had.
Yeah.
What about others who will say, listen, I may have a mentor who I can sound, I can seek counsel, who I can turn to, but not necessarily be in a position that was facilitated such as yours. Does that disadvantage them?
I don't think so. I think we all have different journeys, and different people come into our lives for different seasons. So, for me, I believe just do what you need to do today or this week. If the opportunity was, I don't know, maybe you're starting, maybe you're making electric, I don't know, fans or solar energy fans, and maybe today you were supposed to go see a demo somewhere, just go. You don't know what God has in store for you that day. Maybe when you go, someone else will come who will take you to the next level. So you don't have to have all the funds. And even before that, I was already doing other things before the money. And I was using my own finances to do whatever. And it's not that I had a lot of money. It's every day, you know, like maybe today you need to go meet children in a certain school for maybe a play session, and maybe you probably just need 500 bob to go to the school. Yeah, so you just, I believe God, when God says, or the verse that says, someone was given 1 talent, 2 talents, 5.
Yes.
So whatever you have, or as Moses was, what is in your hands?
What is it that you have
yeah,
in your hands?
because I think sometimes
Yeah.
we wait for an ideal situation, and I think that's where people go wrong. Wait, go shaking, go in fear, and when I mean fear is the unknown, not the negative kind of fear. It's where that to God. And for me, I remember there was a day I only had 100 bob. And then there was this meeting someone set it up for me. So for example, now you get to know me today. And then you tell me, I have this friend called Mr. John. He does XYZ. He's gonna meet you. You call him. So you've already briefed. You see, already you talking about me is enough, because I'm going with your name and your trust. So I don't know the kind of investment you've done with that person. So when I go there, the doors are already opened. So the person will listen to me because of you, not because of me, or because they. Yeah. So I went, and I remember I had bought fruit salad. I didn't think it was a big meeting, to be honest. I wasn't very wise. So, and because I was going to see a teacher who would give me advice on how to set up language lessons for deaf children. Someone who had created curriculums. And I hadn't really done my due diligence of checking who the person is. So I go, get into the building. Then a person tells me, just wait. The person comes and says, I'm like, oh my goodness. Then he says, wait, we have called a team to help you.
Wow.
I went into a boardroom. People from different ministries, from huge corporates, and they're all there waiting for me. I felt so unprepared. I said, so the person, so for example, Mr. John got it and then called his friends who thought, here's a very great opportunity that all of you need to be here and you need to help this project. And that's how we got in some of the greatest partnerships. So if I didn't use 100 bob to go, I would have missed. So like whatever, mahali uko, and if someone needs help, it's also good to ask. If you don't have fare, or if whatever challenge you have, then ask for the support and just go. I
think a key lesson for me there is maybe just very two quick lessons. One is reach out, appreciate.
Yeah.
Two, don't procrastinate.
Yes.
Just show up.
Yeah.
Just show up.
And be fully present. You know, you
Yes.
can show up and you're not fully present. So just show up. Just obey. Just go. Yeah.
And then we have, of course, starting in a sense from ground zero. The challenges, the navigation, the highs and the lows. What are some of those that you maybe went through or you've seen others go through?
Yeah, starting from zero. That's a reality. And I think it's the most difficult thing, but yes, also very doable. Difficult because you don't know what exactly you are doing. So here's a problem presented to you. You believe there is a solution. You don't know quite what the solution. You see the end. You see, for example, for us, you see a deaf child who got screened at 3 months. If they need to wear a hearing aid, they have a hearing aid on, and then they start language intervention immediately. By the time they're 2 years, they already speak, so they can go into a mainstream school or they can go into a hearing school. That's the end. But between here and there, that's what you don't know. So the faith of, I see the end. I know there's a process. I don't know how long it will take. I know there'll be highs and lows. So the faith of sticking to it and being consistent. And I make it sound easy, but yeah, so you just, once I started, what I did a lot at the start is to really listen a lot and to research a lot. Especially accessing deaf children was really hard because, like I said, self-reporting cases are the least. So the majority are the ones who don't self-report. And you know, by the time you get a final diagnosis from an audiologist, it can take you 2 years. So the children we found were already 5, 6 years, so they're already older. And so we actually thought there were no maybe, yeah, maybe the research is true anyway. And so we worked with what we had. And what I worked with what we had is, so I found a 4-year-old. So understanding the journey of the parents, what have you, and then going back. And then once you go back, then you see where the gaps are. So at first, we thought children needed an animation, a cartoon. So we were looking at it from the hearing side, the hearing privilege. Like, how do hearing children learn language? They have an auntie, they have a brother and sister in the house, they go to church, they play outside, you know, and so how do they learn language when they speak to other people? But now a deaf child, the family members don't speak sign language. So let's create a cartoon that a deaf child will receive language. No, I'm laughing because that was where, starting from zero, or starting from what we knew, you know, known to unknown, yeah? So we thought, we knew deaf children, most children in the city, glued to a TV, what have you, that learn language. Then we tried that. I'm telling you, it failed massively. So, and it failed because we were looking at it from my perspective as a hearing person. My nieces, nephews, children, friends were hearing. Then now we had to change the model. This is changing sign language.
Yes.
Change.
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 Is,
Change. Yeah. Change. Then now ask, you are the person who is deaf. What do you want? So for us, that was what was mind blowing. So we learned how to separate ourselves from the process, from the problem, yet be empathetic, but listen. And then once we listen, whatever they say, now we together provide a solution. So whatever problem someone may be solving, don't solve it from a desktop research laptop, your own perspective. Work with the people who are experiencing the problem every day. Work with them, they will provide the solution. And it's easier that way. Yet it's not easy because you also have your own biases, yeah. So it's a journey of separating, listening. And I would say the reason I believe Lugha Ishara is successful in terms of the model is because it's user-centered, it's child-led, it's parent-led. The products that we have now are based on a parent saying, hey, Christmas, my child doesn't, I've never told my child about Jesus. How do I tell them? I don't know the sign for Jesus. I want my child to participate in the Bible study. So they just sit there. I have a desire. I don't know how to communicate in sign language. Yeah, so that's how we started content on Bible-related stories. So so working with what you have and also working with the people who are experiencing the problem. Well, unless, you know, some founders could be based on your own experience, so it'd probably be an easier journey, but then again, it could be your own experience. There could be other people who have gone through the same thing. So just finding similar people and working with them, yeah.
And
Yeah.
in this space, there's a voice that we need to be listening to.
Yeah.
But how do we know we're hearing it? Or how do we teach ourselves beyond hearing to listen to God's voice in this space? And are there examples in the Bible where God is speaking, but man is not listening, is not hearing, and is trying to, you know, move away?
Yeah.
How did that apply to you? Because then you're
Yeah.
able to listen, the call
Yeah.
to action, and
Yeah.
then of course the wisdom of God comes in.
Yeah. I think for me, God speaks to me very clearly when I'm in between a rock and a hard place. When things are easy, I'm not sure I hear very clearly. And especially when he's transitioning me into different seasons, or he wants to end something, or he wants to redirect me. And so my temperament is choleric, my first temperament. So cholerics are doers. So they can go before God because you're in a huge hurry to, it needs to be done now. So I'm very aware of that. And so in fact, the whole of this year, this year and last year was, God, you know how you built me. Like, yeah. So I want to distinguish when I'm najituma versus when umenituma. And even if when I jituma or when I send myself, God has a way of restoring the mistakes, what have you. You know, like God doesn't waste our mistakes as well. So for me, really being aware that I can go ahead of God in many ways, or I can think it's God because I'm in a hurry and God maybe said, wait. Are you sure? Yeah. So the verse, Psalms, I think it's 34:8, that says, instruct me in the way I should go. I will instruct you in the way you should go. With your, my loving eye will be on you. I'll tell you, I'll teach you and instruct you. So for me, that's a daily prayer. And I also pray, God, may your perfect pleasing will be done today. And I also pray, I want to sleep empty today. My life mantra is to die empty. I don't want to go with anything that God deposited in me. I want to sleep empty. I want to walk within God's perfect pleasing will. And God is faithful. He fulfills that, in as much sometimes, like you said, our fallenness comes into play. Yeah. And I think it's okay to allow ourselves sometimes to make mistakes, not to condemn ourselves when we make mistakes, when we either veer off or run ahead of God, or because that verse says, the second verse is like, don't be like a horse or a mule that has to be pulled. Come, so even when God pulls you, we can still ask God for forgiveness and for Him to teach us to walk in step with His will. Yeah.
Have you ever been wounded as a leader? Some wounds are self-inflicted, others environmental, others you find that you founded, you're heeding God's call as you believe, and you're leading, and then you've got these characters in your setup whose mission in life is to just cut your legs, kata miguu.
Yeah, I think being hurt or being offended is inevitable. I have been wounded. I like the category of self-inflicted. I have wounded myself. You have been wounded by others. I'm sure I have wounded other people as well. I've wounded myself by not resting. Last year I had a burnout. Which is not a praise report. It shouldn't be, but I've never taken leave for the last 6 years. So last year, that's when everything crumbled down. And I didn't know, and I was still resisting. Like, I'm not tired. What do you mean? If I don't do this, who will do it? And then Elijah was told, there are 7,000 people out there. So I accepted, I repented, and then I told God, teach me how to rest. First, teach me what is rest, and teach me how to rest within your will. Because I feel my struggle was, this verse says, streams of living water will flow out of your belly. That's how I feel when I'm working, or when I'm in purpose. I feel energized. I want to do everything. But then you see it's the expense of my health. So at that time I was just falling sick. Go to hospital, done all tests, nothing. I tell the doctor, I'm sick. I'm really sick. And the doctor told me, I think you're stressed. You need to go and find rest. And then I tell God, but I don't know how to rest. Where do I take this energy and this drive? What should I do with it? Honestly, it was a genuine question to God. And then now God has been teaching me to rest. One of the ways I asked God is I don't want my mind to be racing when I'm sleeping, and I should be sleeping. So that was for me, either it was deliverance or a miracle. Because I would sleep, but I'm still working. Not every day, but So, and then one of the other things is, now when I get to my house, I don't pick work calls. And I don't feel guilty. Before I would feel guilty. I say, ini ya kesho, and I'm okay, and I'm at peace. Before I would feel, And then also on Mondays, I don't go to the office, and I don't take meetings. So I just take time to rest, read the Bible, reflect, plan with God, just sit and you just, yeah, if unless it's an emergency or something, and I'm also planning for work, so I'm not doing the work, I'm planning. We're just thinking, so it's like I'm having a conversation with them, like, God, this is, what do you think we should do? What have you, so that has really helped me, yeah. So God has given me a new regime for rest. And yeah, I've been hurt by people who I've worked with, and I think the greatest hurt comes from not being understood. When now I understand the place of when you're a founder or a first-time founder, or you're the vision bearer, you want everybody to feel you, understand you, walk with you, do what we're going there. But not everyone will understand. They may just understand 5%, and maybe God called them to just do 5%. But me in my head, I'm thinking, you're my family. You should support me up to this extent. So then I'd feel misunderstood. Then I'm like, if you don't support me, or maybe this is my speed. Then someone's speed is, maybe mine is 80 kilometers per hour. The other person is 20. I'm like, can't you see what I'm saying? So anyway, so the mismatch, the misalignment in terms of the vision not being understood. So I had to also take it back to God. And one of the lessons I got from there was, they don't need to understand you. It's okay. That's me and you. So I found rest in that. And then now my next level will be, okay, now you tell me what's the role of this person. 5%, only this. Oh. So if, like, I found a way. And then, of course, there's a space where people hurt you because of values, mismatch of values. You can be friends or an associate or a partner with someone. Maybe the value is integrity. But my version of integrity and yours are very different. I'm like, I thought this is what we meant. If it's use of money, if I'm just using it as an example, this is what I thought integrity is. Like, no. So a mismatch. And for me, it took me a while to find healing, especially from trusted people. And I also found the healing through God again. And I remember going to a sermon, and the preacher said, he was talking to believers, and he said, you believers, sometimes you compare yourself to another believer. Maybe Nancy's sin is pride. Maybe Jane's sin is jealousy. They're like, hey, me, I don't struggle with jealousy. Me, I'm very well. So he told us, you don't compare ourselves with each other. The ultimate mark of righteousness is Christ. So if you're being wounded because someone is not living up to your expectations, you take that to Christ. He's the only one who can meet it. And for me, that's where I found freedom. And I said, I was harshly judging this person because what they struggle with, I have zero struggle. It's a walk in the park for me. But then there are things I struggle with that maybe for them it's also. So I was looking at, I think I'm a better person. You are here, me, I'm here. You need to come where I am. Rather than Christ is here, we are all following Christ, and our eyes are fixed on Christ. So I had a different perspective, around that.
Now, as we possibly wind down on this very interesting journey, instances of betrayal in matching your expectation, and when you also just must let go, has it been difficult?
Okay. Yes. Let me answer it this way. Offense will come. So now I expect it. Unlike before. Before I wasn't expecting offense. So I'm speaking of the healed version of me. So even as I go further into the next season, I will have new partners, probably new staff members, new friends working with us as an organization and for me as an individual. And some of them will have good intentions, but then they can hurt you without intentionally meaning it. And there are those who are conniving, they'll come to just attack you. So I'm ready for that. And then I have a solution for that. The solution is, Jesus he offended everybody almost everywhere. And he was not shy to engage those people who had indifferences around who he was, and he would use the word of God. So my role is to continue consuming the word of God so that my heart is healed, and then go forth expecting big slap, stoned, whatever. Then once I'm stoned, I go back to Christ. So I won't run away from offense. Yeah. Equally, when I offend people, is to ask my team, any offense so far? Please tell me. I don't know. Or maybe I can perceive, did I offend you with that, So for me, that's now how I look at betrayal, offense, moving forward, yeah. So just being ready for it and going to Jesus to wash my feet. Because Jesus washed his disciples when they were done. Nawaosha? In fact, it was shared in another forum, in a cell group. The person was talking about exactly the same thing. By the way, for me, God speaks to me when I'm tired. So that day I didn't want to go for the cell group. I went, then the leader just said, today we're going to talk about wounds. Being hurt in church. I was like, oh. And then now, he said, when Jesus was leaving, so these disciples had been with him for 3 years. And then the last thing he did, so it's like, I'm refreshing you, I'm washing your feet. And then he said, let's always go back to be washed our feet. So you've been sent, expect offense, bring it back to Christ. Let God heal you. Yeah.
Nancy Nyambura
Yes.
Wagi Maina,
Yes.
CEO, Luga Ishara.
Yeah.
Very passionate. I wish you all the best, all the success.
Yeah.
And yes, that has been insightful. That has been the leader. We don't take your company for granted. We thank you for the privilege of your time. I'm Edmund Budibo. See you next time.